What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Overflow Show. I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. This is the Sports Card Strategy Overflow Show, the show where we answer premium members' questions. So premium members at NoOffSeason.com get to go to NoOffSeason.com/ask, and they get to ask as many questions as they want to help us build their sports card investment portfolio. So thank you all for being premium members. And today we're going to be answering questions from Robin H, Duck River Collectibles, Josh D, Mike W, Jim M, Josh D again, Buckeye Dill, Matt E, Skeeter R, and a new member, Adam H. So get pumped up, everybody. All of your questions got in for this week, and we appreciate it. And if you didn't get a question in this week, definitely get a question in next week, and we will answer it right here on the Overflow Show. Thank you so much, everybody. So up first is Robin H. Robin H says, love the content. I'm having a difficult time figuring out when, where, and how to join the live stream. Sorry, I'm an old guy. I'm on the West Coast and can't seem to catch your Monday morning live stream. P.S. I met Paul at the Mint Collective this last spring. I was going through a dollar box when he stepped up to chat with the vendor. He mentioned his podcast, and I told him I had just discovered it about 2 weeks earlier. Anyway, apparently we share the same birthday too. Happy birthday, Paul. Thank you, Robin H. Happy birthday to you as well, my friend. Catching the live stream is maybe a bit difficult for those of you on the West Coast because it does go live at 8 a.m. Eastern time on Mondays and 8 a.m. Eastern time on Thursdays. So if you want to catch the live stream, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Paul Hickey, and subscribe. And when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will get notifications when we're going live, and it'll say Sports Card Strategy Show is live now, watch now. And so if you have your YouTube notifications turned on, it'll wake you up at, I guess, 5 a.m. Robin, your local time, and you can catch us, man. So anyway, thank you so much for all of your support. We appreciate your question. Robin Hayes, hello to you as well, and thank you for the kind words. Thank you for being a premium subscriber. Up next is Duck River Collectibles. Duck River Collectibles on IG says, what is your grading strategy for this John Elway 1984 Topps rookie card? But it's autographed. Best wishes, John Elway number 7. So it's a bit of an inscription auto. It's in a one touch, so it's not already authenticated as an autograph. Although we assume John Elway signed it, but we don't know that for sure. So my grading strategy would be this. I would send it to PSA, and I would have them just authenticate that it's an autograph. So you would go to autograph authentication only. So it would be a PSA/DNA certified submission. It might cost you about $50 to $75 actually for one card, and probably worth it. Getting it in a PSA slab, don't have them grade the card. The card looks like it's in pretty rough condition. So I would avoid a card grade. I would just get an authentic auto grade on it. Hopefully they will authenticate that it is a John Elway auto, although they may not. So it could be a risk. However, I don't think you can sell this card without it. So this card is either a keepsake, or if you want to try to sell it, you would need to definitely get it PSA DNA authenticated. That's what I would do. All right. Thanks, Duck River. Up next is Josh D. Question number 1. Josh D says, I had a question regarding Junior Caminero. Do you think he'd be a great investment with everything circling around Wander? Also, for the first Bowmans, do they have a silver variation, or are they just considered the Lunar Glow? I just don't know if the first Bowmans are the same. Sort of like basketball Prizm rookies having a base rookie and a silver. Is it the same with Bowman firsts? Great question, Josh. Up first to answer your question is the sports card Dr. Crack, Chad Gill. Chad, how would you answer Josh's question?
Good morning, Josh, and thanks for the question. Junior Caminero is a player that we have been saying for quite some while is a great investment. Depending upon which top 100 list you look at, he is certainly in the top 5. Some rankings have him as high as 2 or 3. So I don't know with the Wander Franco news if he gets called up sooner than expected. to where he might come up this fall. I hope he does not. I hope the Rays wait until next year. But whether he gets called up this fall or if he waits until next spring, we believe here that Junior Caminero is a very solid investment, whether it's his Bowman Chrome first base or his Mojo or a colored parallel or an auto. As long as it's the Bowman Chrome first edition or first logo up at the top right corner, we believe that those are very solid investments. So can't wait to hear how you did with the Caminero investments, and keep the questions coming. Thank you.
Great question. All right, Lefty, what do you have to say? I think Lefty is going to address the Lunar Glow question. Josh, Lefty, what do you have to say?
Hey, Josh, I love the question. There is the Lunar Glow instead of a refractor in this newest set. I think it was getting kind of easy to overlook refractors in sets and things like that if you didn't know what you were looking for. And so, in my opinion, Topps put these Lunars in there to make it more obvious that you were getting a refracted card. So that's the refractor in the newest 2023 Bowman baseball. But Junior Caminero, I don't know if there is just some prospects that seem to be super safe, and Caminero seems to be one of those guys. If you want to invest in a guy that is fabulous, that is just a real ball player, that is probably going to be a major leaguer very quickly, Junior Caminero is going to be that guy. I think he was an investment before the Wander situation, and definitely now after the Wander situation, I think Caminero ends up being that long-term option that they're going to be looking towards. And I could see him potentially creating a lot of steam in the spring training, and that's when I am looking to get rid of my Camineros. So I also am a Caminero investor. So would love for you to get him some of his Lunar Glows, some of his Bowmans, and potentially grade a good lot of them. And good luck out there.
Thanks, Lefty. Good answer. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate the question. Lefty answered the Lunar Glow part of it as well. And so we'll hear from Josh a few questions from now. But up next is Mike W. Mike's got a good one. Mike, thanks so much for being a premium member, and thanks for this question. He says, "Hi, Paul. In 2004, I purchased a case of 2,000 SP Authentic football cards from Blowout Sports Cards. The case remains unopened and factory sealed. I have the original invoice and the shipping box from which it was received." That's pretty cool. That's great patience and discipline, by the way. Additionally, I have a case of 2005-2006 Upper Deck NHL SP Authentic hockey cards. This case was purchased that season from Blowout. The case remains unopened and factory sealed. I'm aware that the cases could contain Tom Brady, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, and others rookie cards. Talking about both the football and the NHL. I have considered having Steve Hart / BBCE authenticating, that's a company, authenticate the cases as being guaranteed unopened. That does come with a hefty cost based on a percentage of the estimated value of these cases. I would like to hear your thoughts and the other panel members of No Off Season's thoughts about what they would do and how they would go about handling these two cases if they were in their possession. Any guidance on insurability? Finally, would you rip a 1992 Bowman baseball wax box to search for Mariano Rivera, Pedro Martinez, Mike Piazza, Hoffman, Chipper Jones rookies for possible grading? Thanks in advance for your thoughts. Mike, this is awesome. Very, very cool. Before I bring in the guys, I'm going to say, I don't know what the guys are going to say. I haven't watched their answers yet. So we could get something different from each of the guys. But my thought is Steve Hart, BBCE authenticating, without knowing how much that authentication would actually increase the value of your boxes, I would be leery of that, because I think they authenticated the Pokemon, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, whichever Paul brother bought and opened the Pokemon case that was authenticated. by BBCE, and then there was GI Joe cards inside. So I don't know that that always works. I think actually what you have, the original invoice and the shipping box is actually could be enough if you're looking to move it at a high dollar price. It could be enough for the right buyer. We could probably get you hooked up with some interested buyers if you were looking, but you might already have some interested buyers. Chad, what do you think?
Hi, Mike, and thanks for the question. This is a really good question. The answer kind of lies in what your expectations of what you're trying to get out of this. That'll determine kind of what the answer is. So, first of all, congratulations. Those are two amazing boxes. As far as BBC wrapping it, it does add a small percentage of value when somebody's trying to bid on it. However, the two most recent sales of cases of those were on golden auctions, and neither of them were BBC wrapped. So it's hard to establish how much of a premium you would get from BBC for wrapping it. If they were mine, I would not get them BBC wrapped unless the boxes looked like they had been tampered with. Then I would, just for verification. But if the seals look good, I wouldn't worry about that. So then the question becomes, what are you hoping to do with these? I mean, these are incredible boxes. There are very few sealed cases left in the world of either of these, which makes them an extreme premium. I'm going to guesstimate the football case to be worth somewhere close to $100,000, and the hockey case to be worth somewhere in that maybe $40,000 to $50,000 range. So if you're in need of the money, or you're looking, you could use that money on something, and it would make your life a lot better, then I would say go ahead and sell it. However, these two cases are going to continue to go up in value no matter what. This is a collector's dream, an investor's dream, to be able to find one of these few remaining cases out there. So if you don't need the money and you wanted to sit on them, they're just going to continue to appreciate like the fine assets that they are. If you need the money or want to cash out on it, because you could certainly use that money right now, I would recommend someplace like Golden Auctions, or a large auction house like that, Robert Edwards, Pristine, someplace like that. Consign it with a large auction house where the big dollar players play. And I'm thinking you should get between $120,000 and $150,000 for those two cases after all the auction fees. As far as the 92 Bowman goes, those are a little bit more readily available. I actually have not a case, I have a hobby box of those that are sitting in my sealed wax safe that I have. I'm tempted to rip it each and every day. I keep thinking I'm going to buy a second one and probably go hunting for Mariano Rivera. The other thing that would probably be smarter from an investment standpoint would just to leave mine sealed and just pay for a PSA 10, since that card is a really hard card to grade, and just because you open one up does not guarantee it's going to be a 10. So if you're looking for something fun to rip, and you're celebrating your wins from the other two cases, I say rip it open and have some fun. If you're just looking for the Mariano card, the smarter play would probably be to sell that box sealed or sit on it and let it appreciate some more, and just go buy yourself a PSA 10 Mariano Rivera card. I hope that helps, and thanks for the question.
Great work, Chad, on the reply. Well done, well thought out. Not surprised, Mr. Chad Gill, with a great answer for Mike. Lefty, what do you think about Mike's situation? Are you pumped about it?
Wow, Mike. Awesome selection that you have here. 2000 short print authentic football, definitely with that Tom Brady in there. The potential for Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby in the 2005-2006 case. absolutely incredible case, especially that you've had the patience to have these sealed. I think that takes a special trait. I think it takes a trait that's looked at the long term and looked at the profit margin rather than just the idea of wanting to see these cards. What I would do probably is sell the cases. I don't think that I would have the chance to open them. I don't think I would insure them either. I'm not sure. I mean, at this level, it's kind of it would be a new thing for me. I would have to get some advice from people that have done large cases of vintage stuff with hit cards in them. Maybe like a potential of a Kobe rookie, or even like how the Steph Curry boxes are handled, because that one of one Steph Curry is still out there. I would see that no offseason probably would guide it towards insurability if you're looking for a long-term hold. But I think you could move out of these cases pretty effectively. And I'm not sure a long-term Brady hold is. We've talked about this a lot about where is Tom Brady in the future. And so with Ovechkin, though, going to break the record in a year or two, we talked about this last episode or 2 episodes ago. Alex Ovechkin could potentially break this championship wide or break that record wide open. So I think that would be an awesome time to open some sealed NHL cards. So with the possibility of a 1992 Bowman baseball, those cards are notoriously hard to grade, but and some of these cards aren't necessarily going for a lot of money outside of maybe Chipper Jones. And so I would potentially sell the 1992 Bowman box and not rip it either. So I am in the camp of, if you're holding wax long term, then you should sell the wax instead of ripping it at any point. So I appreciate this. Awesome question. Congratulations on having 2 massive cases on your hands, and I will speak to you soon.
Hey, Mike, one more thing on this. I think that if you were to move it through an auction house, those big cases, they would insure. They typically have some level of insurance that goes along with storing it for you. I know PWCC does. So if you were to store these cases in a PWCC vault, for example, I'm pretty sure that they would insure the cases for you as part of their services. So that's something to consider. Hopefully that helped. Up next is Jim M. What up, Jim? Thanks so much for being a member. Your question: how strict is PSA when grading foil and chrome cards that have indentations on the surface? I recently bought a 1997 Skybox Metal Universe Michael Jordan BGS 9.5 True Gem and a few raw Bowman Chrome Josue de Paula first autos. I noticed that the Jordan has a small indentation on the surface, which is under a 10x magnifying glass. Similarly, each Josue has an indentation on the surface as well. Would you recommend cracking the Jordan and subbing with PSA, submitting the slab for a crossover to PSA 10, or selling it in the BGS slab? Similarly, would an indentation prevent each Josue from getting a PSA 10? Thank you, guys. I was able to provide the photos that Jim provided me to Lefty and Chad. And so they were able to actually look at Jim's Jordan card. Chad, what do you think?
Hi, Jim, and thanks for the question. PSA or any grading company will grade lower a card that has the defects or dimples that you're pointing out there, the indentations, as you call them. They are not going to get PSA 10s. PSA 9 probably. If you went to a BGS type company, if the rest of the card was perfect, maybe you could get a 9.5 gem mint grade that way. But as far as PSA is concerned, anything with those little pock marks or dimples, or that's actually a flaw in the card, the surface of the card, which is going to require them to not give it a gem mint grade. So I have graded some like that before. I guess do your research, and if the card and a PSA 8 or 9 is still acceptable, or you can still make money on it, go ahead. Or if it's for your personal collection and you just want to get it slabbed for protection purposes, then I would say go ahead and do that as well. Hope this helps, and thanks for the question.
Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, I would not crack the Gordon. I would not crack the Jordan. And Lefty, let's see if Lefty would crack the Jordan and take the risk. And what he thinks about the Josue de Palas.
Hey, Jim, I would say that this probably shouldn't be crossed over. I've seen them be pretty stingy with some pockmarks on Jordan cards. Plus, there is always the ever-present reality that a lot of Michael Jordan cards are getting rejected at PSA for the wrong sizing or things like that. I just had 2 that we cracked from slabs that I had from a guy, and they have come back in a slab. Well, they come back with a label that says not fitting the right size. So basically, they think they've been trimmed or something like that. So that would just be worst case scenario for you. I think this pockmark probably does give it a PSA 9. I've seen small indentions like this pretty hurt some of these metal cards just because of how obvious it is. But I would keep it in the slab potentially. If you are really wanting it to be an APSA slab, then I would send it in a crossover with a minimum grade. But I think this one probably is best to stay in a BGS 9.5. Thanks, man.
Hey, Jim, I think on the Josue de Palas as well, what the guys are also saying is that if you can see indentation marks in with the 10x magnifier, those probably wouldn't get 10s at PSA. I do know that if they're well centered and they have solid edges and corners, they probably could get a 9. So what I would do on those de Paula autos is I would go see what are the 9s selling for. And if the 9s are selling for a point that gives you a profit margin and project to sell in the future based on markers for de Paula, then project to sell for a profit, then I would say potentially get those graded. But if the 9s don't sell, if the 9s basically sell for what raws do, I probably would not get those graded either. All right, up next is Josh D again. Josh says, if you guys were just starting out and had to start your sports card investment portfolio with a limited budget of $150, how would you spend it? Would you invest in one card and sit and wait until it reaches a certain percentage of profit, or invest in small plays so you can spread your money out more? Side note, I'm just creating my portfolio on a similar budget, upcoming wedding, and I would love any and all advice. I have FOMO, and I'm always looking for deals to try and snag. Thanks for all that you guys do. Go Giants, he says. Get in on Daniel Jones while you still have a chance. All right. Great question, Josh. I love this. This is kind of where my thoughts are at all times. So I'm excited to answer your question, but I'm going to let Chad go first. Chad, what do you think?
Hi, Josh, and thanks for the question. I got a couple of questions for you on this. The $150, is that trying to get the best card you can for a personal collection that you're going to hold on to for a very long time? Or is that $150, are you trying to grow that, flip it, and turn it? And if you are, what is your goals as far as how quickly you want to turn it? Because that would certainly influence my decision on how I would tell you or coach you on how to do this. Those are two really big questions, but I'm going to assume that since you are asking the question, you're looking to flip and not to keep it for a personal collection. So then the only question is, at what tolerance can you take the flipping? You know, how long, what are your goals? Do you want to turn that $150 into $250 by Thanksgiving, by Christmas, by Easter, by next year at this time? What is your goal, and how much risk are you willing to take? That also affects how I answer the question. But if you're willing to sit and you're not in a hurry to grow the money, the surest thing that there is right now, if there is such a thing, would be to buy one of the big three for baseball if they do not get called up here in September to buy in the off season. And to buy in the off season, Junior Caminero, Jackson Churio, or Jackson Holliday. There you could buy the nicest card you can buy for $150, or you could buy multiples of the lesser cards, maybe the Mojos, the Lunars, one of the colored parallels, or even the base, as long as it's the Bowman Chrome first cards of any of those three. They are all solid investments, and they will all yield you a good return, but it's not going to be until spring of next year when spring training and the beginning of the season rolls around for the MLB next year. If you don't want to wait that long and you want to try and start growing your money yet this year and turning flips into something quicker, then I would not go with the one card route. I would go with multiple cards to diversify. So if you make the wrong decision, a loss on one card isn't going to wreck your $150 entire budget. So then I would probably go with anywhere from 5 to 15 cards in that $150, and I would try and flip those. And for that, I would watch the episodes and the shows for who we're buying and who we're recommending and suggesting. Those are all plays that should yield you some returns within that 60 to 120 day window. I hope that helps. If you want to respond and let us know what your goals are, we can be a little bit more specific with how we answer this. Thanks for the question, Josh, and keep them coming.
All right, great stuff, Chad. Lefty, curious to see what you think about how Josh should spend his $150 bankroll. Lefty, what do you think?
What's up, Josh? Love this question. I think it's going to stretch the way that we normally think in our audience. A limited budget of $150, how would you spend it? Great question. Also, I'm not going to go there for the Giants. I do believe Daniel Jones is going to be very good. I just don't like the Giants. So I'll leave that at that. But a $150 budget, how would we start today? I think I would go the route of buying that's such a good question. I think I would go the route of buying like 2 or 3 PSA 10 slabs of some elite prospects. So something like a James Wood PSA 10 or something to that effect, and then flip that at in spring training. But if you're looking to get that $150 more quickly, like if you're trying to turn it over more quickly, then I would buy $150 worth of something that's going to turn soon. So whether that's a position player in the NFL that could pop off for 400 or 500 yards in a season really quickly, or buy an elite card per se of an autograph. So go for a Bowman Chrome auto of a player that is going to potentially have a good playoffs. So, all right, man. That's a very interesting question, Josh. Love it, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, good stuff. So I'm excited to answer this. So I like how the guys kind of said, depending on like when you want to try to get the money, and then they gave you their answer. So I can resonate with that. So my gut reaction was 2 things. One would potentially get you a little bit of money quicker, but it also could be very risky and it may not pay off at all. And that's this Jordan Poole 2019 Prizm Silver PSA 10. So it's going for currently, let me make sure I pull up the right. Yes, here we go. So this Jordan Poole 2019 Prizm Silver PSA 10 is a pop 1142, currently going for around $125. And it's gone down over the last 365 days by 58%. It's even gone down, but here's the thing though. It was even worth around $200 in May, and it was going for even 157 in late June, when basketball cards actually, no one has any interest in basketball cards in late June, pretty much. Jordan Poole was traded then, but it was still going for a pretty decent amount more than what it's going for now. So now is a great time to buy the Jordan Poole. I would buy one Jordan Poole 2019 Prizm Silver PSA 10. How to spend $150 and make money on it to build a bankroll. One option is buy one Jordan Poole 2019 Prizm Silver PSA 10. What we think could happen with that card is that it should rise in value by November, because we think Jordan Poole is going to have some pretty solid games in early on in the NBA season for the Washington Wizards. And we think that that card price should go up even just around the hype of the start of the NBA season and the new in-season tournament. Could be wrong, but I really feel good about that call. Another way, Josh, if you can wait until, say, the spring to get your money back, I would buy one Jackson Holliday. It would be 2022 Bowman. Would it be 2020? Yeah, it'd be 2022 Bowman draft. One Jackson Holliday, 2022 Bowman draft first Chrome PSA 10. Those sell for about $130 right now. They could rise in price all the way until he gets called up, likely during the early part or the mid part of the summer next year. And when he does get called up, that card should double in price. So if you can, so on the Jordan Poole, I think you could make about 20 or 30%, but he's got to pop off in a game for that to happen. You might even make 50% if he pops off in a game, and that could come as early as October, November. It may not come though. Jackson Holliday, for sure it's going to come, but it's probably not going to come until next spring or next summer. But when it happens, it's going to probably 2 or 2.5x your investment. So that's what I would do. Now, you may have $10, $15 remaining, and what you could do with that $10 or $15 is to go have some fun searching eBay for some contenders rookie ticket autos of some football players. I would look for sleeper wide receivers, sleeper running backs, maybe even backup quarterbacks, and see if you can snag like a rookie ticket auto for between $15 and $25. That's not going to be easy to do, but you could have fun doing that. I think those are cards that you can sell for a profit without having to grade them, and so I like that. So, Josh, great questions today, my man. Really appreciate it. Keep them coming. Don't be scared to keep them coming. Trust me on that. All right, up next is Buckeye Dill. Buckeye Dill, Paul Schmitz. He says, Paul, one of my good buddies here in town, Sandy Springs, Georgia is where Paul lives, participated in a 2022 Bowman draft case break last weekend for his birthday and hit a banger of a card. This actually would have been 2022 Bowman baseball. It wouldn't have been Bowman draft because I can see the player that your friend got. It's Elly de la Cruz. 50 out of 50 gold auto first. Wow. He hit that banger. Needless to say, he was super excited and now begins the process of what to do with the card. Most likely he will be sending to PSA as it looks clean and centered. Once he has it back, he wants to sell, but we're wondering, are there better platforms to sell his high value cards? Maybe take a look at one of the larger card shows. Any suggestions you or the crew might have would be appreciated. All right, let's bring in the crew first. Let's go with Mr. Dr. Crack Chad Gill. What do you think?
Good morning, Buckeye Dill. Thanks for the question. This Elly de la Cruz card is amazing. It's a bookend. It's number 50 of 50. It's an auto. It's a first. So many reasons to love this card. However, if you look at, because not many of these transact, if you look at just his base Chrome first autograph card, in the last 30 days, that card is down 27%. And as I mentioned in a previous episode, I believe that Elly de la Cruz is a sell now because much like Julio Rodriguez last year with all the hype, coming into the offseason, the Reds aren't going anywhere in the playoffs. He's not going to accomplish anything great anymore. He might break a few more records and stay relevant, but his cards are going to come down. I would not send this in to be graded. I would not. I would sell this card as fast as humanly possible. I would probably list this card on eBay at a 10-day auction. I would pay for the promotional part to get it as many eyeballs as possible. And this card will bring an insane amount of money right now still. But this card is a sell now. Do not wait. Don't try and get cute. Don't try and take it to some shows and hold out for more money. Each day that you hold on to this card, it is losing value. Sell it now. Hope this helps. Thanks for the question.
Love the answer, Chad. Lefty, what do you think that Buckeye Dill's friend from Sandy Springs, Georgia should do with this Elly De La Cruz card? You want it, Lefty?
Buckeye Dill, what a dream pull. Elly De La Cruz, 50 out of 50 as well. So not only is it a gold auto, but it's also a relatively sought after parallel number. And when you see something like this, it's just like, that is a good day in the hobby. Breaks don't obviously always go the way you want them to go, but this definitely fell the right way. Elly De La Cruz out of 50 could be a generational type card for this guy and his family. What I would recommend is that he goes ahead and looks at it before he just blindly sending it into PSA. But if it's centered and it's clean and there's no print lines, then go ahead and send it in, and then potentially try to sell it on some high-end Discord pages. Chad and I, if he ends up pulling that, can really recommend a couple of them. But that way he can get around the taxes and fees that it's going to require to sell this kind of thing at an auction house or on eBay. There are large number of big time buyers. There is a couple of guys that I would recommend using that we can reach out to if this card is movable. But I would try to take it to a couple of large card shows, maybe the Dallas card show, maybe contact somebody there as well. Have somebody expecting to see it, things kind of like that. Other than that, I would expect this card to move pretty easily. I would choose eBay over Golden. You just never know what Golden is going to look like, and we've had a lot of discussions about that. I would still choose eBay for something like this and list it as a buy it now, and go from there. Anyway, no matter what, beautiful card. I know it is like a little bit of a different level of selling, and I had these same questions when I started trying to figure out how I was going to move my Elly out of 5 PSA 10, and it was not even nowhere close to the level of this card. So definitely takes a different kind of research and a different kind of look on eBay. So appreciate it. Awesome question. Thanks, Buckeye Deal, for asking us.
Two completely different contradictory answers there from our experts, Lefty McKee and Chad, the Dr. Crack Gill. I'm going to go ahead and be the tiebreaker here. I'm with Chad on this. I would sell this Elly on eBay in a 10-day auction right now. I would not mess around with it. I think, Kendall obviously knows what he's doing and knows what he's talking about. So, this card did sell in PSA 10 earlier this week out of 50. Same card. Number 42 out of 50 sold for $23,600. Now that's in a PSA 10. What's the likelihood of getting a PSA 10 on this card? I mean, if it looks good, centered, up, down, left, right, front, back, and has no surface issues, has no corner issues, no edge issues based on the 10 times magnifier. I don't hate Lefty's idea of sending it into PSA. I don't hate the idea of trying to pay more for the express turnaround time because it's such a big card. If you did get a 10, you could be looking at a potentially $20,000+ card. But I think I fall in the middle of Chad and Lefty. I think that you could get it graded at PSA. I don't hate that idea. I would go express turnaround, try to get it back as quickly as possible. I would then try to immediately list it in a 10-day auction on eBay. I wouldn't mess around with Discords, or you're just going to card shows, shopping it around. There's enough demand for this card And I like Chad's idea of potentially even the promoted auction on eBay, depending on your seller profile. But if you're already a top rated seller on eBay, there's no reason not to go ahead and list a card like this on eBay, because that's where you're going to get the most eyeballs on it. That's where you're going to get the most bids on it. That's where you're going to have a bidding war. You're not going to have that at the other auction houses, and it's going to be very, very hard to do on Discords and at card shows. So, Buckeye Dill, hopefully this helps, man. Really appreciate the question. And up next is Matt Esterman. Appreciate the question. Matt says, Paul, would love to hear you and the team's opinion on buying these types of cards. Picture below. I'm trying to take advice to get a Jackson Holliday auto. I'm seeing a lot of in-person autos and authenticated by PSA, but no card grade. Should I avoid these due to impact a potential resale later and stick to the Bowman sticker autos? So for those of you listening and not watching, this is a Jackson Holliday Bowman Chrome first, no auto, which Jackson Holliday has then signed in person after it was pulled out of the pack. And the auto is like running off of the card. It looks kind of weird. It's PSA DNA certified authentic auto, no card grade. It just says trading card on the slab, Jackson Holliday, authentic auto, PSA DNA certified. These cards have no value. Nobody really wants these cards. They do sell, but they sell for like really, really low prices because there's not a high demand for these cards. And so I would not touch these cards with a 10-foot pole. I didn't even ask our other guys because I knew their answer, but it's a great question, Matt. But I mean, if you're looking to PC these and they mean something to you, or if you're the one getting them signed in person and you want to keep them, or you want to get them signed in person at a minor league baseball game by prospects and then send them into PSA to slab them up and sell them on eBay, like that's a play, but I wouldn't be the one buying them unless you're really, really excited about them for a PC. They don't have the demand that the pack pulled autos have. So Matt, I know you said you were looking to get a Holiday and looking to flip it later. This is not the one to get, man. You're going to have to pay a lot more money to get in on Jackson Holliday autos. But the good news is the ones that you do buy that are higher dollar are going to net you higher dollars in the future. So you got to get in big to cash out big on the Jackson Holliday autos. Skeeter Robinson is up next. John Skeeter Robinson says, so I'm looking at some of the baseball prospects mentioned to buy now and flip at call up. I've noticed a base PSA 10 first Bowman Chrome and the first Bowman Sapphire Raw tend to be pretty close together in pricing. Yeah, Sapphire Raw and PSA 10 Bowman Chrome first base. That's true. Assuming I don't see any flaws in the picture of the raw cards, what is the better purchase? So he's talking about the Sapphire raw cards. Second question, I'm trying to find strategic times to buy the Topps Now cards. My two purchases were the Ohtani doubleheader pitching feat and the Mookie Betts LeBron Dodgers card, just because that is his first Topps card in years. Speaking about LeBron, thoughts on these? And are there other signature type events I should be looking at with the playoffs coming? Love this question, Skeeter. Skeeter is definitely thinking outside the box, which we love. Up first is Chad Gill. What do you think about Skeeter's question?
Good morning, Skeeter, and thanks for the question. When buying Bowman Chrome first cards, the Sapphires are certainly more desirable than a base would be. You've got a lot of parallels, a lot of serial numbered cards. You've got refractors, you've got autographs. Whatever you can buy in your price range, if they get PSA 10s, you will make money on the call up. So the players to go after right now, if you're looking at doing it for the call up, the three safest plays if they do not get called up yet this year are Jackson Holliday, Jackson Churio, and Junior Caminero. There is others that Lefty and I and some of the other guys are going after if you wanted some deeper plays, some other players that might get called up in spring. You can always message us back or ask another question and we can give you some other options than those three. As far as the second question with the tops now, I think everybody's still trying to figure that out. I've done a couple of the tops now purchases. I've sent them in, they do gem rate very well. They do get PSA 10s at a very high percentage. They are very well produced cards. Um, and most of the time, if they get a 10, you are going to make money on it regardless of what the card is. However, if you can get a serial numbered one, that's when you can really make some big profits. As far as the timing goes, you just have to watch that Tops Now website and Panini Now, which I don't know how relevant Panini is going to be moving forward with everything going on, but both of Panini Instant and Tops Now, watch those sites daily, and if a player with a lot of hype hops on there and there's a card available, go ahead and grab one and send it into PSA, and hopefully you can make some money on it. There's really not a lot more timing than just watching it on a daily basis. Hope this helps, and thanks for the question, Skeeter.
Yeah, thanks, Skeeter. Chad, great answer. All right, up next is Lefty McKee. Lefty, what do you think about the Bowman Chrome First PSA 10 and the Sapphire Raw, as well as hopping in on that Tops Now, Lefty? You've sent some stuff my way, and we got those Victor Wembanyama Tops Nows right around the draft. What do you think? Bringing in the Lefty.
Hey, Skeeter. Great questions here. I think this is a really cool comparison between a PSA 10 First Chrome and a Bowman Sapphire First Raw. I think that's an interesting one because to me, I'm always going to pick the Sapphire because of the limited print run, the little bit of a different look. There's going to be quite a few PSA 10 Bowman First Chromes of any prospect out there, just because of people realizing the likelihood that these prospects are going to make a $20 to $30 flip if they are able to pull a Bowman Chrome. Even at the worst, you're making a $20, $30 flip. So I would tend to go the Bowman Sapphire first just because the top end could be higher. Plus, if you wanted to grade that down the road too, you could. Second question, I think that the Tops Now cards are interesting. I have been buying some of them and then immediately sending them into grading. So I think if you're going to buy Tops Now cards, you're going to have to buy big moments that is obviously going to be catalytic for the long term. The LeBron card is interesting, especially with Panini losing their license with LeBron, and now LeBron is apparently in a Topps card, and so that can be really big going forward. So continue to ask great questions. I think the Topps Now isn't a surefire answer. Hopefully Chad has a better response to that one.
Chad or Paul, come on now, Lefty. Lefty using catalytic. That's I bet most of you listening to the show, watching the show, have no idea the reference of me getting excited about Lefty using catalytic. But like probably in episode 20 of the Sports Card Strategy Show a couple years ago, Lefty just kept using the word catalytic, and it just cracked me up. Anyway, here's my thoughts. I think that I'm gonna lean towards the Sapphire Edition. I'm a big fan of the Sapphire Edition. I'm a big fan of getting the Sapphire Edition raw and then sending it in for grading, assuming, John and everybody else, that it looks like it would get a 10. I had a lot of success, luckily, but also some skill involved, buying some Jackson Churio and Brooks Lee Sapphire Edition Chrome Firsts on eBay and getting 10s. I think I got three out of three Churio 10s and 2 out of 3 Brooks Lee 10s with 1-9 on the Sapphire Edition. So now I'm sitting on some big money cards there. Not huge money cards, but pretty big money cards, pretty big profit for a card, Skeeter. So I like that. I like that play a lot. I think that you have to really like the player to go PSA 10 Bowman Chrome first. I mean, if you look at Elly's numbers, they were pretty solid, sold for close to $200 for that at its peak. I don't think we'll see much of that. I think it's going to be hard to actually clear 100 on most prospects. So it's not going to be big money. It's not going to even be safe money. I really like the Sapphire. I think Churio's cards are still undervalued, both Sapphire Edition and non-Sapphire Edition, just regular Bowman Chrome First. Bowman Chrome First PSA 10 Churio is probably the only guy I'm going to go with that's not a Sapphire or a Parallel or an Auto. So great stuff, though. And then on the tops now, Victor Wembanyama debut stuff, man. Victor Wembanyama, like his debuts, it'll be interesting to see what happens around his debut. Like, for example, we saw Yankees first pitch. We saw first pick in the NBA draft. Both of those came out at the end of June. Lefty and Chad and I jumped on a 20 card pack. None of the three of us got a parallel. We didn't get a serial numbered parallel, which to Chad's point, we would have profited huge on that. But you don't know if you're going to get those. Lefty and I were thinking about going auto, and it was a Dutch auction format for the auto, and they were sold out by the time we were ready to pull trigger on the price. As the price was coming down, it sold out. But I will tell you this, even if Topps doesn't have an NBA license by Victor Wembanyama's debut, which they probably won't, let's just be honest, they're not supposed to. Weird stuff happened with the NFLPA this week. Let's not get into that, but let's just say that I believe Topps now will be putting out cards of like Wemby walking in the tunnel with his street clothes on for his NBA debut. And there will be like an NBA debut series, Victor Wembanyama, in October, late October, when he does debut. Look for things like that. Look, I think they have a license with Scoot Henderson as well. Look for Scoot Henderson to have the same thing. I think that obviously Wemby's are going to outsell Scoots, but I think that when Topps now does drop cards, the short printed versions are typically available in some kind of auto. Look to get those, man, if you've got the money to get those. And if you don't have the money to get those, just get the base ones and get them graded, because to Chad's point, they do well. I mean, those would be the ones I'm looking for. I think Bowman. So Topps now also released like Bowman Next stuff of CJ Stroud. They're not going to have the ability to do that with Arch Manning, because Arch Manning signed with Panini, and we just put out information this week about the Panini Prizm Arch Manning cards that are available at paniniamerica.net. So if you didn't catch that at nooffseason.com or on the show and tell yesterday, I'm going to tell you now, premium members, I believe they're still available if you go to paniniamerica.net. Arch Manning, there's only one that's not completely sold out, and it's just a base Prizm in his UT uniform, licensed Arch Manning Prizm. So I think that that's going to be a gradable card, and once it's graded in PSA 10, it'll sell for quite a bit of money. But they could have Caleb Williams cards, they could have Caleb Williams autos as part of like a Bowman Next series, which gets released as a Topps now. We saw it with Chet Holmgren. So there's not like a clear cut basketball prospect to look for just yet. But we did see it with Chet Holmgren a couple of years ago. Those were his first autos, came out of like a Bowman Next. CJ Stroud had that. So I would look for those types of things. But I think I'm going to make a prediction here on the Overflow show. I think that you will see Victor Wembanyama street clothes, NBA debut, walking into the tunnel, into the locker room, because you don't need a license to put those cards out. You don't need an NBA license to put those cards out and make them look sweet. And I think that Topps is gonna do that. And I think there's gonna be some interesting little variations of that card as well. That's my prediction. I have no inside source. I just think I'm just that good at making calls. All right, everybody. We're gonna stick with Skeeter. Skeeter has another question, and then we're gonna get to Adam Heyman. Hey man, probably got that growing up quite a bit, didn't you, Adam? Adam, stay tuned. You're after Skeeter. So you got in at the buzzer, Adam. Skeeter got his second question in at the buzzer too. He's a Justin Fields collector. He says, I have no problem flipping some of Justin Fields' lower stuff. I know with Select there are so many parallels with retail and such, but I find it odd that his 2021 Select Concourse Silver is only a pop 29. And the recent sales prices of those cards are just over $100 on average, with the last one being $75. I know it's probably not the most desirable Fields card out there. Ding, ding, ding. But if he does make that jump in 2023, and some of the known printing issues of Optic and apparently Select from this year, is this a card that could rise in value because it's low pop? Or does the low pop count not mean much because it's a simple silver concourse? Ding, ding, ding. I think you answered this, Skeeter. So Skeeter attached the pop report showing the PSA 9s and 10s. He says it was a card I was ready to sell around the National until I saw the low pop count and decided to hold on to it. I'd sell it, dude. Skeeter, great call. Love the way you're thinking. Love the way you're thinking outside the box. You're ready to make some money here, man. But I would list these Justin Fields cards as he has big games early on in this NFL season and generates some hype. I would list them and sell them. I know you're a collector, but the low pop count means nothing with these cards. There's really nothing that special about these cards. I would sell them. I would crystallize profits. I would look to reinvest at a time in a player that makes way more sense than these Justin Fields cards. They're just not special cards. The low pop count is because probably not that many of them have been sent in for grading, and we saw that on the pop report as well. Good stuff, though. All right, up next is Adam Heyman. Adam H. Hey, guys, I'm a new subscriber and wanted your advice. Recently, I've locked in on Mikal Bridges as my pick for this NBA season to have a big year. I have a few other guys that I want to focus on too, but Mikal is one where I'd like to try and buy some of his Panini Prizm base raw as a lot and get them graded in bulk. According to Market Movers, his base raw is about $4.32, 30-day average, and his PSA 10 is $25.54, 30-day average. I know it is a bit of gamble doing this, but what do you guys think when trying to buy a specific card in bulk? Do you just use eBay and hope for the best? Or do you have somewhere else to look lots of a specific player? Doing this on eBay seems like a big gamble because of the card condition is not always easy to tell through picks and questions. Thanks for all of your help. Adam, great question. First of all, I'm going to break this down. There's a lot to unpack here, but we're going to do it. I'm going to hold the whole where do you buy in bulk, lots, all that stuff till the end, because to me, I want to save you first. I want to save you from making a mistake. So let me save you from making a huge mistake, because you said you want to buy the 2018 Prizm base Mikal Bridges raw, and you want to have it graded. And what I'm going to tell you is you would just absolutely be sucking all profit margin out of that, my friend, because you would be buying, say, a $5, you said $5 raw card, which is selling in PSA 10 for $22. So even if you buy in bulk and you get them graded, you're losing money. I know you're probably thinking this card's going to go up in value, but let me just stop you and say, why buy in bulk and get them graded and then wait 3 months to get them back? And it's a 2018 card, so it's an old card. You're not going to get many 10s, if any 10s at all, in that situation. You might get 1 or 2 10s. The pop report for this card doesn't matter. You didn't mention the pop report either. I would say definitely you're going to want to look at the pop report, and I'll get to that in a second. But for the pop report for this card doesn't matter because, dude, you can get a PSA 10 for the grading fee. So if you like, I don't hate that you like Mikal Bridges. That's actually not that bad of a call. Go all in on Mikal Bridges if you believe in it, man. Go all in on Bridges. I'm just saying, just go buy the Prizm-based PSA 10s. Just go buy the base Prizm PSA 10s. It's the same as the grading fee. Now you don't have to buy 20 of them to get them graded. You can buy as many of them as you want in PSA 10, guaranteeing yourself a PSA 10, and then you can sell them later when Mikal Bridges pops off, as you believe he will. So why are you going to buy cards for $5 or less? And by the way, you're going to factor in shipping to that, so you're going to pay more shipping and taxes. Now all of a sudden you're going to be like $30, and you got to factor in the fact that you have to pay PSA to ship them back to you, and you have to wait 3 months to get the grades back at least. So now you're in a situation where if you submit them on September 1st, which you won't be able to because you still got to go buy them raw, wait for them to get to you. You're in a situation where you're going to submit them mid-September, October, November. You're not going to get them back till mid-December that's when the prices are going to drop. The prices are going to drop again in mid-December. So if you really want to make this Mikal Bridges play, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. You need to go buy 2018 Prizm base PSA 10s now for less than $30. You need to hold them. You need to sell them in November as soon as Mikal Bridges has his first big game during the in-season tournament. List them for sale. Auction. 10-day auction. Boom. Sell Mikal Bridges then. You're going to profit. You still like Mikal Bridges? You're going to put all that money back into Mikal Bridges at the end of December when everyone's price plummets because everyone's buying holiday gifts and they're just not paying attention to as many eBay auctions in December. You're going to come back and you're going to snipe them in December if you still believe in Mikal Bridges then. But you're going to crystallize profits first by just buying the PSA 10 2018 Prizm base. Now, if you want to grade, though, if you want to grade, the card to grade would be the Prizm Silver Mikal Bridges raw, because you can get that for around $20. Now you're in on the $20 grading fee. Now you would have a profit of closer to $60, $70 after fees if you get the 10. If you get the 9, you're probably going to, you're going to lose money on a 9. So that's a little bit risky. But if you get the 10, now you're in a situation where you're profiting and it starts to make sense if you want to grade. But I'm going to tell you this. This is back to Josh D's, one of Josh D's questions about how to spend $150. You could buy this card if you believe in Mikal Bridges. Just buy the silver PSA 10. Now you have way bigger upside than the base. So now I'm going to challenge you, Adam H. I'm going to challenge you, my friend, because should you buy, and we talked about this a little bit on Monday's show, how many Prizm base PSA 10s would you have? You would have, in theory, 5. You could either be holding, you could spend $125 on one Mikal Bridges 2018 Prizm Silver PSA 10, or you could spend the same amount of money on 5 of the base. And I'm willing to bet money that if you just bought one Prizm Silver PSA 10, you would make more profit selling that during the spike that you expect for Mikal Bridges than selling your 5 base PSA 10s. Why? Because the silver is a short print. The silver is way more desirable. The silver has way more upside. If and when Mikal Bridges or anyone else pops off and you have their Prizm Silver PSA 10, you will make more profit on the Prizm Silver PSA 10. Now, there's a couple more things I want to unpack within that question. One of them I said was the pop report. If you go to psacard.com/pop and you start to search for the card, it's going to be a little bit hard to get to, but eventually you go around and you see, okay, Mikal Bridges, Silver Prizm, how many cards have been graded? There have been, if we do the quick math here, there've been about 1,400 cards graded. We've got, out of the 1,400, you have basically a 50% gem rate. So if you want to get that card graded, it's not a bad play. Now, let's go to the last part of the question, which was, where do you buy these cards? So one thing I know Lefty does is he just searches on eBay for the word like Mikal Bridges Prizm lot. You know what I mean? So we could do something like that real quick together. So this is going to be, you go to eBay and you could go to Facebook Marketplace. You could go to, you could search around on Twitter, Instagram. There's Discords. And you could search for Mikal Bridges 2018 Prizm lot. And we are going to bring this into the stream now. And so here you've got 3 Mikal Bridges base for $10, for $9, or best offer with free shipping. So that's actually pretty good if you're really wanting to grade, which I don't recommend based on my earlier part of the answer, but I did want to answer the second part of your question here. Here's Mikal Bridges Optic Hollow. That's another play to look at. The Optic Hollow is kind of the lower priced cousin of the Prizm Silver. So the Optic Hollow is a good option as well. 1999, 0 bids, 1 day left. I don't hate that. Let somebody else bid first. Here's one. Prizm. Well, that's okay. Here we go. 8 silver Prizms. This is a buy it now with free shipping of $240. Let's do the math on that real quick. So that's going to be what, about is it $30 a card? Let's do this together. 240 divided by 8. Yeah, $30 a card. Wow, I'm good at math. Okay, $30 a card. That's not bad. That gets you 8 with free shipping, and you're only paying tax once if you're paying tax. There's a lot of good Mikal Bridges stuff out there. I actually like this call. Here's 2 silver. Oh, ooh, this is interesting. This is interesting. This is a silver Prizm PSA 10 and a hyper Prizm PSA 9 for 210 or best offer. So I think what this person's doing is they're trying to offload like a $15 card, which is the hyper PSA 9. They're trying to offload it for like $80 because they know that the Prizm silver PSA 10 is desirable. This is actually a really smart. Here's a tip. Connor, check this out for the clips. This is how to offload a $15 card for $80. Pair it with a desirable PSA 10 of the same card. This is what this person's doing right here. Because you have a $15 card right here, the Hyper Prizm, PSA 9, and then over here you have like a $130 card, PSA 10 Silver Prizm, and the list price is $210. Love that. All right, Adam, hopefully we helped answer your question. Everybody, thanks so much for watching the Overflow Show. Robin H, Duck River Collectibles, Josh D twice, Mike W, Jim M, Buckeye Bill, Matt E, Adam H, and Skeeter twice. We love all you guys. We want everybody else who's not submitting questions to the Overflow Show but watching to go to nooffseason.com/ask. Ask as many questions as you want. Ahem. Our friend Jeff Ulrich, ask as many questions as you want. Everybody, thanks so much for watching and listening to the Overflow Show. Sports Card Strategy, Paul Hickey, nooffseason.com. Thanks to Chad Gill, Lefty McKee. Everybody, have a great day. Let's play that rock music just for the heck of it.